Last week, Stephen Miller floated the idea that the Trump administration is considering suspending habeas corpus to speed up the administration's deportations of undocumented immigrants. And now, without due process, which we've talked about extensively on this show, habeas corpus essentially doesn't exist anyway. Due process is sort of the umbrella that captures the entire judiciary in a just and fair society. Habeas corpus is one component of that. But the fact that they're so willing to dispense with something that is so critical in protecting you from the government is bad. It's a bad sign.
It's very bad. And I thought it was like interesting the language he used when he was talking about this too, because he goes, we're suspending the privilege of habeas corpus. And it's like, oh, buddy.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not like a Bill of Rights, like, right? But it is essential to upholding the rights of quite literally everyone.
Well, habeas corpus is in the Constitution.
Yeah.
It's not even an amendment. Like the founders or the drafters of the Constitution thought habeas corpus was so important that it needed to be included initially.
It was like first draft.
Yeah. Because, I mean, habeas corpus comes from like the monarchy in England, like protections against the king. And in its simplest form, I think in Latin it means you shall have the body, literally like you will have the body of charges presented against you so that you can defend yourself from them. It's the right to challenge your detention by the government. And if you don't have that right, like we've been saying with due process, you essentially don't have any rights.
Exactly, because what's stopping the actual Bill of Rights from being violated if they can just, anyone we say is a terrorist is a terrorist. We don't have to do any, like it's kind of crazy. And what pisses me off even more than, just the blatant badness of it all is how much of a fucking nerd he is. You know what I'm saying? He gets on there and he's like, well, actually, you stupid fucking reporter, we've done this, this, and this. And then he just lies.
Stephen Miller is maybe my most hated person.
And then his forehead wrinkles like that. It's like, buddy, I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm also confused why he looks like that. I think being evil does something to you.
Yeah,
you know
all these guys are like, it's like they're engineered in a lab.
Yeah. Now, of course, as we said, without this, the government can essentially imprison you without ever presenting charges against you for your imprisonment. And of course, Stephen Miller and other Trump officials have claimed that they want to do this, or they're considering doing this because of the quote-unquote invasion of immigrants. And I think it's important to point out here that if they can use it against immigrants under this pretext of an invasion, they will use it against just political dissidents.
Oh, of course. Because, I mean, if they can say that, like, MS-13 gang members are being thrown over the southern border just strictly by Venezuela, or Tren de Aragua is being sent by the Venezuelan government.
Without evidence
to destabilize America, then they can say communists are being shipped over from China with the purpose of destabilizing America's political environment. And these people there's an ideological invasion going on throughout this country, and we need to purge it of any of these people who have been captured.
That's the Red Scare, right? It's like these people who have never been to Russia, who have never been to anywhere in the Soviet Union, they are communists, they are communist aligned, and therefore we need to kick them out of the country. Or we need to jail them or whatever it may be. Yeah, no, it's terrible.
We need to do cancel culture.
Also, like, the administration keeps saying that if we have to give due process to all these immigrants that we're deporting, then we'll never be able to get rid of all of them. Yeah. And it's like, tough shit, dog. You're the government.
No, precisely.
Due process is a protection from you.
And it's like, even with that, that's like such a whine, too. Like, they're just whining like toddlers. Like, well, Joe Biden brought all these people in without due process. One, you're lying about the number that he brought in. And two, again, tough shit.
Yeah, tough shit.
That's what happens.
You don't get to just jail a bunch of people or deport a bunch of people without proving why you're doing it. And there's already like an expedited process for undocumented immigrants. It's not that hard for the government to go through that process. I believe it's just like presenting the charges to an immigration officer and not even like a judge.
And all you have to do is, I think, give them time to challenge it if they want.
Yeah.
And not everybody's challenging it. Some people are going to get caught in ICE detention. They're just going to go. Like, it's silly.
Yeah, you want to be able to toss a bunch of people out of the country without ever proving that they are who you say they are. And we know that they've been deporting people that don't have criminal records. Yeah, I think people should be protected against that kind of action.
There's also just been a robust process for ICE to come in and grab immigrants who have committed crimes and deport them. Undocumented immigrants who have committed like awful crimes like murder and whatnot, and get them out of the country. That's never been a hard thing to do.
No.
And Joe Biden certainly was not just letting them walk around with records.
Yeah, I mean, we call Obama the deporter-in-chief. I mean, Obama hired Tom Homan, and this was like never an issue for him.
Yeah, liberals
he never needed to suspend due process.
The worst liberals are attacking Trump by saying, you're not even deporting as many people as Joe Biden. Like, come on, man. None of this is serious. They just want to do it violently because they fuck with the aesthetics.
Stephen Miller further doubled down on this on Friday on the habeas corpus stuff, stating that, quote, whether the administration will act to suspend habeas corpus depends on whether the courts do the right thing or not. That's a quote from Stephen Miller himself.
Because they're doing lawfare against them. Because I think he also said in that interview that these radical activist judges have been like captured by the left, and they're just trying to stop everything the administration has done. Stop whining.
Stop fucking whining,
Stop
dog.
whining.
Now, there's a few claims to contend with here. First of all, Stephen Miller asserts that there is a quote-unquote invasion of immigrants, and this authorizes or maybe necessitates the suspension of habeas corpus. But of course, there is no invasion. As we've already said, the Trump administration has failed repeatedly to prove there's anything like an invasion in court. They haven't even managed to prove that Tren de Aragua is being sent here by the or by the Venezuelan government that is like somehow captured by the gang. Yeah. They haven't been able to prove that in court. Internal documents in the State Department don't even suggest that that's true.
Court, not even the Supreme Court, when they were doing like the whether or not he can continue with the Alien Enemies Act deportations, ruled that there was an actual invasion.
Yeah,
like nowhere has anybody said that this is the case, that this is what's happening.
Yeah, and that just gets to the point that they just consider immigration or undesirables, quote unquote, being here as an invasion, not some like natural part of, I don't know, living on a continent with other countries.
Yes,
like immigration is just a natural thing that's going to happen, especially as like travel has been revolutionized over the last several hundred years. People are going to try to come to your country, especially if you're wealthy.
And we constantly flex about being the wealthiest nation. We flex about the American dream, and then people are going to see that and think, well, maybe that's for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Second, Stephen Miller claims that this is a power that the executive branch has, that the president has the power to suspend habeas corpus, but he decidedly does not. Yeah. Habeas corpus has been suspended 4 times in U.S. history: the Civil War, Reconstruction, an insurrection in the Philippines in 1905, and after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Each of those times, Congress has approved the suspension, except in the Civil War, when Lincoln did it himself first. The Supreme Court said, hey, dog, you can't do that without Congress, and then Congress did it. Congress also didn't approve it in the Philippines, but that was sort of like a territory of the U.S. that was chartered under a different set of rules, so it's sort of complicated there. But on mainland United States, there's been no time where the president has invoked habeas corpus and the Supreme Court didn't step in and say, like, you need Congress to do this.
And I think there have been, like, Supreme Court cases, like, litigating stuff like this that have been, a part of, like, the robust history we talked about when we were talking about the Alien Enemies Act, of the Supreme Court interpreting invasion very strictly and very much in the context of war, not in any other context of, I don't know, Venezuela sending gang members to us without any proof.
Yeah.
I think Bush tried to do, like, a similar Bush tried to suspend habeas corpus and, like...
with the terrorism acts.
With the terrorism thing. And then there was a Supreme Court case, what is it, Boumediene v. Bush.
I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, where the Supreme Court also continued to rule that, hey, buddy, you can't do this.
Yeah, you need Congress's approval if you're going to suspend habeas corpus, and it has to be like an actual threat to public safety. And if you think, if the administration is going to argue that we are anywhere near Civil War levels of emergency, that is just fucking asinine.
Yeah.
Like, the administration this last week was trying to take away temporary protected status from immigrants that are from places like Haiti or Cuba, when they are, without exaggeration, those migrants are responsible for reviving the economies in which they live. Like, there is nothing on the level of the Civil War or like an invasion from a foreign army happening here. They're just using it all. They're trying to scare you as a pretext to deport people and eventually take your rights away too if you're a dissident.
Damn.
So, bad on both counts here.
Very bad.
Yeah, not only is there no invasion, not only does the executive branch decidedly, historically, not have the power to do this, but it's just, it's designed to hurt people. The cruelty is the point. And it's also going to hurt the economy if that's something that you need to have sort of like front loaded.